On the last episode of Built to Last, we added rigid insulation to our home's exterior, installed low E windows, and topped off our house with solar reflective roofing. Now it's time to finish up the exterior of our home with brick and stone and install our back deck, so stay tuned.
Support for Built to Last is provided by
Unico Incorporated, manufacturers of the small duct high-velocity HVAC Unico system. Unico is dedicated to the environment and has been serving residential and commercial customers around the corner and around the globe for more than 25 years.
Great Northern Lumber, providing green construction materials from skyscrapers to residential remodel. Proud to serve you for the last 27 years and into the future in the lumber industry.
Bosch, power tools for professionals. Proud sponsor of The Green Home. Florida Tile. Expect more. SPI Incorporated, protective coatings, proven performance, and real-world solutions for 24 years. Additional funding is provided by these firms.
Now that the protective layers have been installed, it's time to finish up the exterior of our home. This beautiful brick will add value to our home, and our masons will make sure it looks great for years to come. So let's get to work.
Our exterior is getting set, ready to go. We have our rigid insulation in place. We have our water barrier on, so the next step is masonry. So we're getting set. You can see our brick's been delivered. We got our stone on site, so we should be ready to go shortly. Our stone and brick are from local distributor in the area. Our mason, he's got many years experience, an old-time mason, so he's a hands-on guy, so we're very excited to have him on board. We have some challenges here. We're using a jumbo-sized brick, trying to incorporate the brick with the stonework and some of the other things we got in place. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but he assures us he can work everything out. One of the issues we've run into is we had to get our deck framing in place prior to the start of the brickwork. That's something that we have where we're tying back to the structure of the house. We got to make sure things are flush and tied in properly. So it's going to be a little bit of an obstacle for him to get his scaffolding in place because we have a walkout basement, so we're dealing with the two-story area. But these are things he assures us he can work with and accomplish. So every job should have his challenges, but he assures us it can get it done.
Currently on this project, we have 4.5 guys. A project like this takes 2 to 3 weeks, depending on the weather. If the ground gets wet, the laborers can't move the material. If the bricks get wet, we can't lay them on the wall because they'll squish. So dry, dry, dry. That's the key.
Some might think that the formula for laying brick is, well, set in stone. But adjustments have to be made depending on the materials used and even the day's climate.
For the labor to make the mortar, it is kind of an art and a science. Depending on the humidity of the day, they have to add a little bit or a little bit less water. It depends on the brick that you're laying. If it's a real dense brick, it's not going to absorb the water at a higher rate. Therefore, you're going to need a little bit more stiff mortar. If you have a brick that dries instantly, if it's very porous, then the labor is going to need to make the mortar a little more soft or runnier. That way, as you lay the bricks, it can absorb into the brick and it doesn't dry or cure too fast. There must be an airspace maintained behind the bricks. To build brick properly, you put up a story pole or a dead man on each corner of the wall, or you build what's called a lead, where you run the bricks out with a level, and you do maybe 4 or 5 course, and then you can use like a line pin on one side and a story pole on the other. You take it, you hook up a line to the wall, and you run back and forth with your coursing. The key is to maintain your airspace behind the wall. You don't want any excessive water to fall behind the wall, to trap water. You want to get airflow and water flow. That's why you notice the bottom of the wall, we also have what's called a weep vent, which allows any drainage to come down the wall and weep out those holes. Underneath the brickwork, there's a composite, like a rubber flashing. On this particular building, we use a sticky flashing. It's a membrane that sticks right down to the concrete so water can't seep underneath it. Everything rolls out, and any ice damming, that's all eliminated by proper ventilation of the wall. Water's your enemy. When it turns to ice, it doesn't matter what it is, it could pop it out. You'll notice in the front of the house, we have the porch area. We left a couple bricks out. Those are called scuppers. That allows water to drain out of the front porch area. You'll notice the concrete on the porch, the concrete guy pitched the concrete down on an angle so any water, ice, snow can kind of flow right out. Because why? Water's our enemy.
In addition to the brick, our masons will be installing the stonework for the chimney and other accent areas. They employ similar methods to laying brick, but they also have to plan for the many different sizes of stone.
Stonework, it's an art. You look at a pile of rocks and you see the patterns, you see the corners, you see the lines, and you get to be where you can look at 100 stones and pick out the stones that just go together. And then the ones that are close, you can kind of cut the corners off and adjust them accordingly.
Picture a jigsaw puzzle, pretty much. You know, it's a natural material, it's just split up, it's not cut or anything, so you just gotta find the pieces that fit together.
After a few weeks, the masonry is completed, and it's time for Bruce to check it out.
Now, Frank, the brickwork back here looks great. I know you had some challenges here mentioning about the bay, kind of working out these corners here because of the brick.
Yeah, we had cut them all in 45 to match the ankle.
This looked like a great solution, worked out well. And then you mentioned about the venting of the cavity wall. We created these vents to get some airflow in there, so was that difficult to do, or?
No, it's just basically putting the vents on the bottom and then putting them all the way at the top to get your airflow through.
Okay, is that something you normally do? I know this is something we were doing specific for this project.
No, we're doing specific for this project. We don't normally do that.
Great. I know there were some other challenges you were mentioning about the size of the brick, kind of the coursing, things like that. Is there anything else that kind of threw you for this?
Well, being oversized bricks, you pretty much got to make a lot more cuts, but other than that, no.
Okay. So this was a unique project?
Yeah, it is.
Your years of experience paid off, right?
One of a kind.
And the chimney looks great. You guys did a great job on
yeah,
this.
That turned out nice. They really mixing a stone and a brick, it turned out
right.
really
And
nice.
we went from a full stone to a half stone because, you know, to kind of create that change of depth and everything.
That turned out nice. I think it's one of the best chimney in the neighborhood.
Yeah, that it is, for sure.
Just as the masons are finishing up their job, our gutter installers are setting up one aspect of our home's rain management system.
The gutters were run on site for the length that was needed. So what's nice about that, you're not dealing with pre-cuts, gutters and things, worrying about joints leaking and things like that would have to be seamed together. So since they were run on site as a continuous gutter, we alleviate any problems with leaking in the future, especially through expansion and contraction. And we went with a little bit larger size gutter because of the volume of our roof. Is we didn't want to have any issues with overflow and things like that. So we kind of designed it for a worst case scenario for a storm, and I think we achieved that. We're trying to capture as much of the rainwater as we can because we're going to use it for rain harvesting. Basically, we're going to be storing the water in the backyard in the underground cistern, and we're going to use that to irrigate our lawn and garden areas. So we wanted to make sure we could capture as much of the rainwater as we could.
With the masonry work complete and gutters in place, our masons come back to give the brick a rinse for a nice presentation, just in time for Bruce and Laureen to check on the home's progress.
We're going to be meeting up with Laureen today, who's going to kind of walk through and kind of do an update to see where we are with our lead point criteria. Some of the issues that we had were about venting the exterior wall with the brickwork cavities, so those are things I'm sure Laureen's going to be looking for today as she walks through the exterior, things that we want to address. We make sure that those things were properly installed per the lead requirements. So those are some of the things that we're going to look for and address today. And the other things is how we'll handle water management and a few other options. So we pretty much got our exterior set. So you're going to kind of take a look and go through and see how we're doing?
Definitely. I wanted to take a good look at all the durability issues and just talk a little bit about the brick, because I know you guys are planning on giving me the documentation about
Yes.
how far away it
The
is.
product manufacturer and everything,
yeah.
the components that went into it.
Okay.
So, yep, we have all the documentation on
Excellent.
that, and we'll get that submitted.
Perfect. And then the same for the stone.
Yes.
That'll be something else that we need. And then I did a quick walkthrough before on the downspouts. We're planning on capturing everything, right?
Yes, all the downspouts will be captured for the cistern and back. We have one in the front here that's going to be going to a rain garden that we've got pretty much right where you're standing.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
All right, let's go take a look at these weep holes and how they were flashed. So we're basically using the same brick vent we use at the top as a weep as well.
Right, so the entire cavity is vented.
They're pretty clean, that's good.
And they're, for the most part, they're unconspicuous, so it doesn't draw attention to it or make it look any different, so.
Yeah. Wait, in hindsight, I kind of wish the manufacturer made one that was the same color as
It would
our
be
mortar.
nice to have
That'd
it
be
where
nice.
it reads, where it blends in, or it looks like a true mortar joint.
Exactly. But it's still, like you said, take a step back and it's hardly noticeable. Oh, the control joint is in a
Yes.
good spot. It's nice that it lines up with the window. I don't think many people understand that even though brick looks like it's solid, it still expands and contracts.
Right, it's something that's very important to have incorporated in, so you don't really want to go over 30 or 40 feet in length without having one incorporated. Right now, it looks a little bit unfinished. They'll come back and they'll caulk it so it kind of blends in, so it won't be an open joint, but allows for the expansion and movement. So, this is a very long length of house on this side. So
Exactly.
we should be good to go. Should be a good, solid house. Lasts a long time.
Well, I guess at this point, as far as the roof and the windows and the brick are concerned, I just need to get the documentation that just shows where it was manufactured and where the raw materials came from. And
Right, those are all things that we can provide for you, and we'd be glad to inundate you with all the paperwork.
don't I know it?
The exterior is complete, and now it's time to add a little outdoor living space with our backyard deck.
One of the last components that we're trying to work up that affects the exterior of the house itself is getting a deck installed. So off the back of the house, we have a deck and stair that will lead out to our back patio. So the focus is to try to get that in and on the house, and that they're going to be working on that over the next few days, and hopefully that should turn out great.
Before laying the floor of the deck, our team first has to lay a fabric mesh. This mesh will keep out bugs if later on our residents want to enclose part of the patio. On top of the netting, our carpenters size and install the flooring that utilizes a tongue and groove system.
Our decking and railing system that we're installing on the house is a composite product. Basically, it's wood and plastic, and normally it's plastic is plastic bags that are being recycled, and wood is scrap wood that's ground sawdust that's also mixed together to compile for the decking and railing system. Those are products that normally would end up in a landfill. In fact, the wood is all scrap wood. No trees are harvested or used for the decking, which is great. So these are basically everything's made that's scrap. It's a lasting product, it's a sturdy product, structural. The railing system's structural and it wears well, it's maintenance free, so the homeowner will be very happy to have this product on their home. What's nice about this decking system comes in a variety of colors, and the colors are all the way through. So even where places where we're cutting, we don't have to worry about having a different color material being exposed. Even over time, if somebody decides they want to go with a different color decking, it is a sustainable product because it has wood composite in it, which just lends itself the opportunity to make this whatever you want it to be. So down the line, if somebody feels they want to make a change or revitalize it, it offers a great option and it's easy to achieve.
It's going to be durable, it doesn't need to be painted, and it's going to last considerably longer than more traditional building materials. And so we're also hoping that it adds that little extra element to the home that allows the inside to come out to the outside and allows the family to enjoy the outdoors.
It's time to focus on the water management system. One might not think of a driveway as part of water collection, except for running down to a sewer line. But one small feature of this driveway will divert water to be used later.
We got our driveway in place. It was poured a few days ago, and as part of that, we incorporated a trench drain. What that does, it diverts the water from going into the street, kind of prevents the runoff. And it's a better way to do some water management. And as part of that, we're going to collect the rainwater. As you can see, we got some of our tubing in place here. They're getting trenching started. And what that does, we're going to be collecting to a cistern that's located in the back of the house.
Most people seem to forget that there's more to a green home than just energy efficiency, and so for this home we actually made a conscious effort to take a look at water. So if you recall, when we first started the project, we talked about site, water, energy, materials, and indoor environmental quality. We're focusing on the bucket of water today. And thinking about it, like 40.5 million acres in this country is used for lawns alone, and on top of that, 30 to 60% of potable water is used for maintaining just our landscape. And this is a dwindling resource in some of our areas of the country that are facing drought conditions. So hopefully for this project, people will be able to take notice and see that, hey, collecting rainwater is a good thing. I'm very excited just to see the final product. Once everything's all complete and the rain garden's in and the rest of the landscaping's in, we'll actually be able to see how well the system actually performs.
The trench drain in the driveway is only the beginning. Now our landscape architect is on site to head up the install of our water collection system.
The rainwater harvest system is, with a LEED project, is something that you're going to see more and more of, and more on-site detention, more collection of rainwater for different uses, for vegetable gardens, for various plants. Turf takes a lot of water. So our cistern that we're going to install for this project takes into account the size of the roof that we have, so how much rainwater would we be collecting, the size of the tank, and how much water we'll be using for irrigation. So part of that, the other half of this system is one side we collect it, the other side we use it. The irrigation use is low volume irrigation. So this irrigation system is designed to use the amount of water that we collect. So we're not going to overwater our turf. We're going to use low pressure heads. We're going to do a lot of things on the irrigation side, which means that we have enough water. We locate the tank where it's going to be on the low side, so all the water coming off the house can get there through under gravity. It's under normal flow. But if you were on a site that was very, very flat, the pipe must drop so the water will flow. And yeah, 1/8 of an inch and like every 5 feet is plenty of flow for the pipe. So, you know, ultimately, the top of your pipe must be higher than the bottom of your pipe. And like I said, on our site, if we're talking about our particular site, we have from the front to the back, we have an elevation drop of about 10 feet. So we have absolutely no concerns about the water flowing through the pipes and getting to the tank. We go to each downspout that's on the house, and we bring a tile to that downspout. So we're basically digging the tile in, and then running the tile, we collect it in sort of a main line, and then we bring that main line to the tank. In this case, we have chosen to use the standard corrugated PVC pipe, non-porous. And one of the reasons we did that is because we do have so much fall from the front of the site to the rear of the site where the tank is located. If it was tighter, we might look at using a pipe that's smoother inside so the water flows better. But in this case, even the turbulence inside of the corrugation won't affect the flow. It'll slow it down, but it doesn't ultimately create a problem for the water not getting to where it needs to be. We're using about 400 feet of corrugated pipe, or tile, you might want to refer to it as tile. So yeah, to connect everything, bring it from the front to the back, there's about 400 feet involved, which is, you know, pretty standard for a suburban lot.
We set the inlet point that's collecting downspouts from this side of the house. All the tubing that was set in place from the front of the house and the driveway trench drain are being diverted and tied into here. So this is one of the inlets that picks up this side of the house. And then we have another one in place that they're working on that's going to be picking up the downspouts from the other side of the house. So everything's going to tie it into here, and they'll have that set up today. And also we have an outlet for an overflow. So should in the event we get a heavy rain or where the tank would be close to fuller capacity, it does have an overflow that's a natural outlet that'll take us out to the open area here. So once we get the final grading and planting and everything set in place here, our irrigation contractor will come back and he'll tie in his lines and his sprinkler heads, everything to this system that'll run off a pump. So we're not using any potable water from the house. This will be all handled through the rainwater that's been collected on site here.
All this stuff that we've done today is going to be buried and out of sight, but it's going to be there and it's going to function the way it needs to. All in all, you want to say, yeah, it was really tough or something, but this was a rather routine kind of installation. The thing that's different about it is probably no one in this neighborhood has this kind of thing. This is, you know, one of the last houses being built in this neighborhood, but if you went down the street, you'd probably find all these houses that have typical irrigation systems. They're using the city-provided potable water to run their irrigation systems. And in this house, we're not going to do that. So really the water savings to the owner, and then also just the benefit to the environment to collect the rainwater and reuse it in our irrigation system, that's not standard. That's something that we really want to see and promote.
With the system in place, the landscaping team levels off the soil that has been moved during the installation process. Once they rough grade our property, we're done with this phase of our home and ready for the next one.
So at the end of today's inspection, we were able to verify many durability strategies that we had originally included in this project. Some of those things being flashing within our brickwork, along with scuppers at the front, which we also put in our brickwork to make sure that we didn't have water collecting on the porch. We also installed within our locally extracted and manufactured brick and stone these brick weeps. And we did it at the top and the bottom for airflow, which is a little bit unusual. It's more specific to this project. But what we're hoping, and based on scientific documents that we've actually analyzed, it makes more sense in creating this airflow and reducing the amount of water that could potentially collect in that cavity, because the cavity and that airspace are very important. Our house wrap's also in place, that's behind our brick. And then we also have a rubber flashing in place below the windows to make sure that we're not getting any leaks behind. And our durable deck and railing system are also installed. But coupled with that, we finished up our gutter installation. And after talking to Bruce, it looks like we are still intending on having a rain garden in the front, even though we had one gutter that hadn't quite been hooked up yet. And one thing to keep in mind though, if you're going to do this kind of thing with rainwater harvesting, if you're using a smooth pipe, you need a minimum of at least a 1% slope, whereas if you're using corrugated pipe, you'll need about 2%. And also we have a reflectant roof in place, and the nice thing about having a reflectant roof is that There won't be as much heat accumulation in the home so that the air conditioning doesn't have to work as hard in the summertime. So far we're on track for certification, and I can't wait until the next inspection.
Our brick is set and our gorgeous back deck is complete. Now it's time to move indoors. Join us next time on Built to Last as we install the indoor systems that will keep us comfortable. See you next time.
Visit the Built to Last website to learn about these topics and more. Support for Built to Last is provided by
Unico Incorporated, manufacturers of the small duct high-velocity HVAC Unico system. Unico is dedicated to the environment and has been serving residential and commercial customers around the corner and around the globe for more than 25 years.
Great Northern Lumber, providing green construction materials from skyscrapers to residential remodel. Proud to serve you for the last 27 years and into the future in the lumber industry.
Bosch, power tools for professionals. Proud sponsor of The Green Home. Florida Tile. Expect more. SPI Incorporated, protective coatings, proven performance, and real-world solutions for 24 years. Additional funding is provided by these firms.